All right, so what are we here to talk about?
We're going to talk about sweeteners, right?
I'm a big fan.
We all are.
Yeah, I don't think I've made a mix that didn't include sweetener for like fucking 2 years now.
I don't understand people saying, "Oh no, I don't use sweeteners."
Yeah, they haven't tried sweetener.
You know, I think it was like maybe a 2015 thing, 2016 thing, where people were trying to get away from using sweeteners. That's kind of when I started mixing. And so most of my recipes at the beginning of my mixing career had no sweetener in because I thought that was the thing to do. That was the thing to stay away from, was sweeteners. But, you know, I tossed that out the window.
I had a phase where I didn't use sweetener, but when I started working for commercial companies, you know, making commercial recipes, you have to use sweetener.
Yeah.
And I discovered how much it was changing the recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Not only in the sweetness of the recipe, in the flavor itself.
Like, sweetener is like using another flavor that is all the flavors you just used. Like, sweetener is like using another flavor that is all the flavors you just used. It's like not putting salt and pepper on your food. You ever have a fucking muffin without sugar in it? You know?
And you can also pack a recipe using the wrong sweetener.
Sweetener is almost like a cheat flavoring. You know, some profiles, it's like, you know, this isn't great, but you add a little bit of sweetener, it's like, oh my God, now it's good.
I mean, even if you're going to do like just the strawberry and cream, you know, you are selling the strawberry short by not using like Cap Super Sweet. Like now, we got a little bit of like intended uses for sweeteners now. I think before it used to just be very streamlined, very just, you know, this is the best sweetener to use because you had TFA and then you got Cap Super Sweet.
And you could even use less flavoring knowing that you're going to use a sweetener.
That's true too.
It just makes things pop more.
That might have been when flavor percentages, total percentage probably started to come down a little bit.
Yeah. And it's not only for the flavor, it's also the texture.
They can push the recipe in a certain direction.
Yeah.
Okay, so which ones do you say are worth having?
There's 3 for me.
Yeah.
CAPELLA Super Sweet, Flavor West Sweetener, and Flavora Sweetness.
Yeah.
But each sweetener is really specific to what profiles to use them in.
Well, okay, so if you're going to make all fruit mix, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you're going to go with fucking Cap Super Sweet.
Why is that?
We have basically 2 types of sweetener compounds. We have ethyl maltol, sucralose.
Yes.
All the different sweeteners that we have either one of them or both, and also some additives that are going to change how that sweetener affect the recipe you're making.
So Cap Super Sweet is basically 3 things: ethyl maltol, sucralose, and citric acid.
Right.
So it has a touch of acidic note in it. That's why it's so great with fruits.
That's the fruit-driven one. That one makes the fruit sit on top.
Right.
So it doesn't really do anything when you use like Flavor West. You really want like the top end of all the fruits to stick out. That's where Cap Super Sweet is good.
Yeah, every time you need to make a top note even brighter, I would use Cap Super Sweet. It could be a fruit, it could be a candy, but it has to be those flavors that they taste good being even brighter.
Right.
You wouldn't use it in a custard or with the cream or with the bakery.
So that's like, I think that's where like Flavor West comes in because we know it's just sucralose.
Yeah.
So it's a very like even baseline for everything. So the bakeries can kind of naturally show out and the fruits can naturally show up in the recipe. So you don't really have anything kind of like changing. You don't really have the, you know, sweetener going on top of whatever. If it's already sweet, it's going to stay sweet.
Yeah, or it makes everything more sweet.
Yeah, like maybe it just saturates everything.
Yeah, so with the CAPELLA Super Sweet, if you were to add that to a bakery, then it and say it's a strawberry pie, it may pop that strawberry up higher than what you want. Maybe you want the strawberry and the bakery to be kind of on the same sweetness level. That's why you would use Flavor West, because it doesn't contain that citric acid to make the fruits pop. It just keeps it even.
And what about Flavora sweetness?
That's a little new trick and trade. A little patented by well, it was patented by you. You're the one who figured it out, but I guess we use it more than anybody, so.
I think it's by Flavora, but okay.
Yeah, but I mean, like, but nobody really had an intended use before that until you figured it out on whatever recipe it was. Because you were doing some work with it because you had it, and then you figured out this is what pushes creams.
Right.
Which I didn't know that.
And all we know from Flavora is that they don't use any citric acid, sodium, potassium, nothing crazy.
Right.
It's sucralose and something else.
I don't know. I wish I knew what it was that was pushing the cream so much further, but it does. It makes things more velvety and more volume.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of pushes the creams more, just like citric acid or just like the Cap Super Sweet pushes like a fruit. This pushes a cream.
It's like having all the good things that you expect to have from using ethyl maltol, like rounding things up, making everything more smooth without all the bad things from ethyl maltol.
So when you're making your recipe, you're going through the development process and whatever, you start to say like, okay, this is how I want it. I just don't have the right, maybe wish that lemon was a little bit brighter than, the bakery.
If you are doing like a lemon cake, I would use Flavor West sweetener.
Right.
But if I'm doing a lemon ice cream, I could use Flavora sweetness. Now, if I'm doing a pie or something like that where the lemon needs to be more sharp, I would probably go with super sweet.
Right. Or like a lemonade.
Lemonade, yeah.
You're trying to make a lemonade, it's all fruits and stuff. Then you just, you're going to do Cap Super Sweet.
Right.
There might be times where in a lemonade, you might not want super sweet. You might want to use Flavor West. It's not like a standard rule, but Cap Super Sweet is going to probably push certain parts of it a lot. You got to play around and stuff. You got to figure out which things work for you. Otherwise, I don't think anybody would have found out that Flavora sweetness pushes a cream.
But as far as sweeteners go with tobaccos, do you think that the Flavora sweetness would work better in most tobaccos than, say, ethyl maltol?
I think it entirely depends on the recipe. If it's a dessert tobacco, most things are sweet enough. I don't tend to grab a sweetener for a tobacco recipe. Or if maybe it's an RY4, I might use Flavor West.
Yeah.
They used to use ethyl maltol for tobaccos.
Right.
The same with custards. The problem with maltol is that it kind of mutes the flavor.
Yeah, so another thing too when it comes to sweetener and stuff is they do have different potency levels. So they're kind of ranked in order from Cap Super Sweet being the sweetest to, I would say, Flavor West and then Flavora. I find Flavora to be the weakest.
Maybe it's just the soft feeling from it. But yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's not as punchy.
The big difference there is that you can push Flavor West up to 2% or more.
Yeah.
You cannot do that with the Cap Super Sweet without getting a weird flavor from it.
It's just going to char the shit out of your coil.
Yeah, so where is a good starting percentage for these three sweeteners?
Cap Super Sweet between 1/4 to 1%. And 1% is that's a lot of sweetener.
Yeah, it is.
That's commercial level sweetener.
And probably 1%, between 0.5 and 1% for Flavor West sweetener.
Yeah, I would say normal human status again is probably 1%, but you could go to 2%.
Yeah.
And then Flavora, I mean,
that's about the same level as Flavor West, right?
Yeah.
Anywhere from 0.5 to 1, something like that.
You wouldn't be getting any more from it over 1.
One sweetener that I want to talk about that I want to try to convince people to not use is TFA sweetener. There's nothing wrong with it as far as the sweetness, but it has water in it, which means it'll make your mixes harsh.
Yeah, that one's different from the super sweetener, which I've tried, and I've put it against Cap Super Sweet, and it's like a quarter lower. You know what I mean? So at the price that it is, it's not cheaper. It's not harsh.
Yeah.
But it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do the things that Cap Super Sweet does. And it ends up being more expensive.
It's like that sweetener that people were talking about, I don't know when, erythritol.
Oh, erythritol, monk fruit, erythritol. What was the other one? Stevia.
Yeah, something. Don't even bother about.
So, people who are against sweetener, the reason why you should be using sweetener is because you're already using sweetener, because there's sweetener in those flavors already.
Yeah,
add a little bit more to the party, you know.
Add a little sweetness to your life.